Hi traders, welcome to the Forex Weekly Trading Ideas with me, John, Senior Market Analyst here at Blueberry Markets. I'm going to take you through some of the data this week. I'm going to take you through some charts of interest. So could expect a little bit more volatility again this week. Obviously the markets took a little bit of a breather throughout the remainder of last week. Monday was obviously a very high volatility day, but that soon calmed in the markets after we saw some further releases in the US, which calmed the fears around a recession. But we are going to see more US data coming out this week. We've got core PPI and PPI coming up on Tuesday, and most importantly, we've got our first sort of inflationary data readings coming in on Wednesday, with core retail sales coming in on Thursday. So it's going to be a very interesting week, again, navigating that volatility risk within the markets. Core CPI in particular is going to be a number I'm focusing on. Expected to see a rise up to 0.2%. So if we did see anything higher than this, I think that those market participants that have been trying to price in 50 basis points are going to be very disappointed. So we might see a little bit of a pullback on that exaggeration that we've seen in the markets recently. But CPI year on year is also going to be a very interesting number to keep your eyes on. 3% expected. 3% barrier needs to be breached now, in my opinion, if we are going to see some strong cuts from the Fed in September. I do think we will see a cut, but it's now the question of whether it's going to be 25 or 50 basis points in the future. So this has been the sticking point in the past. Are we going to see a breach of that? That's something I'm going to be taking a look at. And then on Thursday, we've got those retail sales data, which are going to be very interesting. And then obviously we've got RBNZ interest rate decision coming up, 5.5% expected. I think we will see a hold in this meeting, but again, this one is fairly 50-50. They have been very dovish in tone in their previous meeting, even though they did hold rates 5.5%. The only problem they've got is that wages are not in a position really that they expected to be in, and also non-tradable CPI is a little bit higher than their expectations. So they might leave rates higher at 5.5%, but then maybe talking about future cuts coming. Going on the currency strength meter, then we're going to have a little look at how this has been playing out. Obviously, Swiss and yen still the stronger currencies at the moment, but in those reversal zones. So again, I think as the market volatility sort of declines, or as the calmness comes back in the markets with sort of data releases that are more expected, we could see a little bit of reversal to the Swiss franc and yen positioning within the market. Great British pound, one of the weaker currencies at the moment. Still like the idea of potentially being short this in the very, very near term. And we've also got a weaker US dollar at the moment. So let's take a look at this dollar index. Dollar index really important at the minute. Obviously, we had a continuation of the downside pressure that we expected the previous week, and we came into the 102.50s, which is something we spoke about as being as a strong level of support. So not a surprise to see some profit taken in around this area, but are we going to get a push back to 104s this week, or are we going to see a move down to the 102.50s? I'm favouring the downside here on the US dollar at the moment. If we are going to expect cuts anyway, then currency typically does devalue in those conditions. So I'm expecting a continuation of the US dollar weakness within the market. Dollar CAD has been a very important chart for us over the past couple of weeks. We've been talking about CAD strength coming into the markets because of the commitment of trader reports showing aggressive buying from the commercials, and that's what we saw last week. We saw a breach into the 139s, high 139s, and the market reversed that as we came into this weekly level of resistance, the top of the range essentially within the market. So are we going to see this momentum continue this week? Potentially. I do like the idea of price trying to test the 136 handle again. Will that break? Will that hold? I think that is going to be another important level to watch for on dollar CAD. Moving on to dollar yen then. So again, inflation data coming out of the US. Is the market going to remain a bit spooked in terms of recessionary fears or not? That's the question we need to kind of ask ourselves. Is that more long term or what? Now, there is some interesting commitment of trader report details on yen at the moment. We're seeing actually very heavy selling of the Japanese yen at the moment. So I'm interested to see how that plays out, whether we still see that dynamic, especially if headline risks still occur. So I like the idea of still seeing some short-term downside in dollar yen. However, I can understand if we were to see a move higher, because look at the aggressive move that we have had in price. I wouldn't be sort of surprised if we did see a move up towards the 150s or anything like that. Finally, then, going to finish on gold. Gold obviously remained very elevated last week, despite sort of closing below last week's close. The market is here. I still feel particularly bullish, because although we didn't see a aggressive reaction in gold, if we were to see kind of recessionary fear enter the market, then I do expect maybe price could try and retest this kind of 2450s, perhaps into the 2480s, just to see if there is any kind of buying interest at those levels. But yeah, we're very elevated on gold at the moment, and if we were looking at it from a long-term perspective, if I was a physical buyer of gold, then would I really want to be buying at these elevated levels? Probably not. So there is going to be a point where those tables do turn, and we will see a little bit of downside, but it's a matter of when is that going to happen. And at the moment, price action still favoring the upside moves on gold at the moment. So thanks for watching this video update. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you learned something new, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new. Speak to you soon.